Hello and welcome everyone to EPG Pathshala. This session is in continuation to the previous one. In this module, we are going to understand the importance of media in the process of communication. The communication media or channel is something that lies just in between the receiver and the sender, just like a bridge or a connecting link. What the communicator wants to convey to the receiver can be done so with the help of some or the other form of verbal or non-verbal communication channels. The strength and the effectiveness of communication flow is largely dependent upon the nature and the quality of the media that is employed in the communication process. In this module, we are going to achieve the following objectives: to understand the prevailing nature of communication media, to describe communication systems that enable transfer of information from one source to another, to explain the advantages of different types of media, to discuss the why, what and how of communication strategies for adult learning communities, to understand the importance of media, to state the factors that influences the choice of media. The word media is directly borrowed from Latin and is a plural form of the word medium. Medium simply refers to a channel or means of completing a communication. Media of communication is a means of transmitting information between a speaker or writer, which is also called as the sender, and the audience, which is also called as the receiver. It acts as an intervening agency, means or instrument to establish the process of communication between the sender and the receiver. People communicate with each other through several types of media. The effectiveness of a piece of information or knowledge or communication is dependent on the medium or the choice of media through which it is imparted. Before choosing any communication channel, one must be sure of its appropriateness for a particular purpose and the nature of the receiver. Inappropriate choice of media or channels can send out wrong signals and end up creating confusions. Now, there are different types of media. They are categorized as audio as a media, visual as a media, audiovisual media, multisensory media, mass media, and multimedia. Let us understand each of these medias and check their strengths and weaknesses. The first is audio as a communication media. Here, the communicator and the receiver may rely on the audio only. In any classroom or teaching learning situation, communication can be done through verbalization or lecturing, and the student or learners may receive the communicated knowledge through hearing or listening. Audio media also includes an electrical or digital representation of sound. It depends on hearing and speaking as a main way of communication. Examples include tape recorders, MP3s, iPods, radio, cassettes, audio CDs, audio conferencing, etc. Let us look at the strength and weakness of this media. First, it includes one-way or two-way communication, thus enhances the effectiveness of the communication. Immediate feedback is possible. The media becomes more advantageous if there is clarity of voice, has relevance to the topic, clear pitch of the audio, appropriate length, appropriate language, unbiased content. The next media is the visual media. Here, a learner may receive information or message by reading out a written or printed statement or through the visual interpretation of the graphical material like a chart, diagram, graphs, pictures, etc. Such communication involves visual media for the required transmission and receiving of the communication. Visual communication is communication through the use of visual aids only. It is described as transference of ideas and information in forms that can be read or looked upon. Generally, visual communication in part or whole relies on vision. Visual messages accompanying text has a great power to inform, educate, or persuade a person or audience. The communication through newspapers, magazines, books, etc., as well as learning through demonstration is also carried out through visual media. Visual messages accompanying text has a greater power to inform, educate, or persuade a person or audience. The communication through newspapers, magazines, books, etc., as well as learning through demonstrations is also carried out through visual media. Examples include posters, pictures, puppets, dramas, street plays and role plays, videos, broadcast media, etc. Visuals are powerful and can be used effectively to strengthen communication. Association of the knowledge heard with the pictures seen helps people to remember what they hear. Visuals play the key role in our life. The advantages of visual media are: first, visuals can give accurate representation of ideas. Visuals help to define facts and information easily and precisely. They can identify and describe in concrete terms, giving meaning to words. Visuals are economic in time and help in better comprehension. For example, talking about some common diseases, giving a description about the digestive system in humans would consume a considerably more time than the use of pictures. The picture of a digestive system will help to learn and understand about its different parts and the process of digestion. Using only words to describe what happens to the food will certainly take much more time than the use of a visual of the digestive system. Visuals also help in memory. Humans can generally remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, and 30% of what they see. Visuals thereby help people to remember and recall information much better than reading or hearing it. Most of us will be able to recall things we had seen in our youth than a talk we heard just a day or two before. The next is visuals can stimulate the imagination. Here I am reminded of a famous Chinese proverb, a picture can speak 1,000 words. Pictures can help us to imagine and give shape to our ideas. Pictures can be used as a starting point for any discussion and debates. Visuals are not only a quick way of acquiring facts but also of using them. Details presented in a picture can make people think and react. Visuals provide a shared experience. We have seen that when the communicator and the audience share a common experience, communication becomes much easier, thereby enriching our experiences. Visual can get two people thinking on same lines about the same subject. It cuts down the possibility of there being ambiguity about the subject under discussion. In most occasions, the communication in day-to-day situation is generally carried out through a combination of audio and visual media. And our next media is a perfect blend of audio and visual medias. Writing on board, drawing a diagram, displaying a model or graph, demonstration, use of the skill of narration, explanation, lecturing and exposition along with its visual display is the use of both audio and visual media. The term audiovisual may refer to works with both sound and visual component. The audiovisual media proves to be more effective than the use of only audio or visual media. Example, microphones, tape recorders, audio mixers, still and video cameras, film projectors, slide projectors, VCRs, CD and DVD players or recorders. Audio-visual media definitely has an edge over the use of audio and visual media in bringing about clarity in communication. When you send an email or write a letter, you know the type of tone and mood used in the letter, but it could come across differently to the receiver. Audiovisual input enables both parties to observe facial expressions and gesture, hear tones and inflections in the voice, and use both audio and visual clues to clarify each other's meaning and positions. Second advantage is, man has come a long way from using pigeons, falcons, messengers, to letters and telegram, to telephones, and now the use of Skype, WhatsApp, Viber, which has made communication very fast. We owe this to the advancement of technology and the complex technological gadgets. Audio and visual cues, when combined, increase the retention of messages. Presentation software and video conferencing can be effective tools in meetings and lectures because the audiences receive and process the information more effectively in comparison to traditional approaches. By adding media like videos, visual aids and sound clips to presentation, it creates a multimedia experience for the receivers. Using a variety of media from MP3s to video footage to still image slideshows and online social media helps in bringing about a more engaging communication with the audience. Our next media brings all our senses into use, that is multisensory media. It is said our senses are a gateway of knowledge. In accordance with this well-known maxim of teaching and learning, it is always better to employ as many senses as possible in the process of instruction for the best possible outcomes. We use different ways to communicate and learn through the 5 senses, through body movement and gestures, space, time, emotion and artifacts. Hence, each of the 5 senses, that is sight, hearing, smell, taste and touch separately or in combination may work well as an effective media for the communication process. It allows us to connect and interact to develop relationships. If we are able to make use of the different types of media and aid material involving as many senses as possible, we will certainly bring better results in the communication process. For example, AVI, MPEG, WMV, QuickTime files, slideshows with audio, etc. Advantages of using multimedia are: first, it caters to all kinds of learners. Like we all know, there are different types of learners. For example, auditory learners, visual learners and kinesthetic learners. Multisensory media can appeal to and caters to the needs of all the kinds of learners. The purpose behind multisensory instruction is to apply this concept of learning to all subject areas. The more experiences a student has with a piece of information, be it a spelling word, process in mathematics, a novel or a concept in science, the stronger their ability will be to remember it over a long period of time. Perception through senses. Sensation leads to perception. By enabling a student's strong input channel, whether it is auditory, visual or kinesthetic, to take the lead in his or her learning experience, weaker pathways are strengthened. It helps in better grasping. If we provide a variety of pathways for learning to occur, we are more likely to reach all students and each is more likely to grasp the concept. Nelson Henry has very rightly observed in media and symbols, educational institutions left to themselves may not be successful in achieving the educational objectives of the developing societies without the support of the new media. New media here implies to mass media as channels of education which has gained relevance from their capacity to disseminate information to a great number of people and make the present educational programs more effective and meaningful. Mass media are means of impersonal communication via some medium, imported through mediated situation. They are means or instruments of communication that reach large number of people or pupils with a common message. The matter, information, message may be printed like newspapers or it may take form of radio, television and cinema. There are different forms of mass media. Print as a media, electronic as a media and the new age media. Under print, we have newspapers, books and pamphlets as examples. Under the electronic media, we have television and radio. And under the new age media, we have internet, mobile phones. Advantages of mass media are, they are helpful in spread of compulsory education and adult literacy. They reach large number of population in a short amount of time. It helps in supplementing correspondence programs. They facilitate an exchange of thoughts and ideas. They help in developing leisure time interest and appreciation. They facilitate dissemination of information, increase the speed with which a message travels. It is a way to link or staple parts of social life, makes the constraints of time and distance manageable, assists in the spread of non-formal education, an alternative to formal approach to education. The multimedia. A communication process may be termed as based on the multimedia approach when it employs a number of media in a planned and organized combination for deriving the maximum output in a particular communication situation. Multimedia communication is the presentation of digital information in the form of text, images, sound, motion, graphics, website and video. This contrasts with media that use only rudimentary computer displays such as text only or traditional forms of printed or hand-produced material. Most of the well-organized programs of the reputed open education or distance education institutions like IGNOU are run through the multimedia approach, adopted for the interaction with the learners. In the advanced countries such as UK, USA, Australia and Canada, it is used in a quite effective way for carrying out a number of online courses. Example, CD-ROMs, DVDs, web chatting, teleconferencing, video conferencing, webinar, etc. Advantages of multimedia are, it makes the educational process interesting, purposeful and effective, helps in meeting the needs of the learner, makes the learner highly individualized and self-dependent, appeals and spreads education to the masses, it is easy to use, provides advantages to group and individual learning, tailors information to the individual, that is, it is as per the need of the learners. Relieves teachers from the routine duties. Media plays an important role in education because it helps in the facilitation of fast and effective learning. It helps to motivate the students as the message or the information communicated to the receiver reaches it with the same clarity of the sender. It helps in adding variety in teaching methods. Media and method are complementary and supplementary to one another. A method can be made effective by using an appropriate media of communication. It helps to provide concrete information, whether it is in verbal, visual or audio form. It helps in facilitating long-lasting learning as it appeals the senses. In other words, channels are senses of perception. Choice of media. Romasowski says the main categories of factors that may influence the choice of media are: first, task factors. It includes the type of objectives and the type of learning activities which should be provided for the learner. The second factor is the learner factor. Some learners may learn better from certain media than from others. And the last one is the economic or the availability factor. This may limit the choice of media in practice. Therefore, to ensure effective communication, one must make a wise decision on the choice of media based on the factors which were earlier discussed. In this session, we learnt or understood the meaning of media, the nature of media and the different types of media. Though it has advantages and limitations, but the choice of media should be according to the type of communication that we need to establish. Hope you had a nice, fruitful time. Thank you.